Hey Superman fans! The 2025 Superman movie plot just leaked, and trust me, it's packed with some major twists and turns. Stick around as we break down the wild story, key characters, and what makes this movie stand out. Alright, let's dive into the trailer's opening scene. It's already causing some serious controversy. You see, Superman and Clark Kent are the same guy, right? But they're not. Clark Kent is his hidden persona, his alter ego. Now, the trailer kicks off with Lois Lane, and let me tell you, she's a savage. I'm talking beast mode. She totally goes off on Superman. So, the whole plot of the movie? It's all about the consequences of Superman starting a war just because he could. His suit, with those red, white, and blue vibes, it's like he's representing the American way. And because of that, he ends up getting taken in by Ultraman, who, fun fact, is actually played by David Corset. Yes, the same guy who will be playing Bizarro too. That's why the cover-up, because he's rocking two roles. And honestly, I think it's going to be epic. So, here's the thing. Superman is basically getting into trouble for stepping up, stopping a war, and taking matters into his own hands, which is exactly what he wants to do. But this argument, man, it gets weird. There was a moment where I seriously thought Clark Kent was about to throw down with Lois Lane. Like, come on! And I know some of you are probably thinking, yo, have you seen Superman and Lois? Yeah, I've seen it, but that's Superman being interviewed, not Clark Kent. Now, let's talk about this plot leak. It's been out for a while, but it's still pretty wild. So, Superman ends up at the Fortress of Solitude to get healed by the robots. While he's there, Lex Luthor and his crew are introduced. They hate Superman, and of course, they come up with a devious plan to take him out. It involves teaming up with a foreign government to take control of a small country. Political metaphor, you know? And the leak goes on to say, Luthor equals Elon Musk, corrupt country equals, well, they're not saying, and the small country? Also, we don't know. But trust me, this is getting good. So, over at the Daily Planet, Jimmy Olsen's acting just like you'd expect. But here's the twist. Girls are completely obsessed with him for no reason, and he's totally confused by it. He can't seem to escape the attention. Meanwhile, Lois starts questioning how Clark always seems to score interviews with Superman, which creates a little tension. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We all know why and how she does that. Turns out, Lois heads to her apartment at night and, surprise, Clark's already there. It's revealed that they've been secretly dating for 3 months, and she knows he's Superman. That whole tension at work? It's just part of their playful roleplay. What's even more intriguing is that this movie takes place in an established universe where there's no need for an origin story. Thankfully, right, no one's really asking for that. But here's the thing. It feels like there's a lack of originality, and people keep saying, yo, this is like the Superman cartoons I watched when I was a kid. It's straight out of a comic book panel. But honestly, that kind of argument doesn't really hold up in an interview like this. So this trailer gives us a pretty interesting spin, and honestly, you can pretty much figure out everything about the movie just from this one teaser. In Lois's living room, she's complaining about Clark always landing interviews with Superman. She flips on her microphone to record him, turning what starts as a cute little game into a full-blown domestic argument about foreign policy and Superman's role in it. Now, this right here is the beginning of the trailer. And how do I know it's real? Because this scene dropped months ago, and all the Twitter insiders were calling it fake. It sparked a ton of controversy, because, let's be honest, people are like, this isn't Superman, this is Superboy. He's acting like a total soy boy. And then the arguments roll in. Oh, you haven't read enough Superman comics? Well, newsflash. You don't need to read every Superman comic to get it. You'd probably have to be over 70 to have a full grasp on all of that. The key thing is, this is Superman being interviewed, not Clark. And the way he's acting? Feels like he's on the verge of snapping at her. So, the story continues. Lex Luthor unleashes a monster into the city to take on Superman, and of course, Superman defeats it. Then, the Justice Gang shows up to help in the battle. They're basically the guardians of this galaxy. I mean, it's a bit confusing. If we've got a Superman who's this overpowered, and it looks like everyone has their own kryptonite in this trailer, why does he need backup? Then, things take a twist. Lex sneaks into the Fortress of Solitude, uncovers a message about Superman being sent to conquer the world Invincible style, and broadcasts it to the whole planet. This message turns the world against Superman, making him an outcast. And you can actually see all this in the trailer. Superman is shunned by humanity, goes back home to his family, and here's where it gets interesting. There's a scene that's been edited. You know the one where someone throws a ball at Superman when he's walking into what looks like a courthouse? Well, they've edited that part out because he blinked his eyes. They seriously went in and cut that part out. So, here's where it gets wild. Lex Luthor has access to a pocket universe, a place where he traps anyone he can't stand, including his ex-girlfriend. He goes full-on brutal, beating up Krypto and dragging him into this universe. Somehow, Superman ends up trapped there too. And yep, we actually see this happen in the trailer. Lois and the Justice Gang track down Superman's location in this pocket dimension, thanks to Jimmy, who's been secretly sexting Lex's girlfriend. She's obsessed with Superman, and her photos accidentally leak some pretty important confidential info. Superman eventually manages to break free from the pocket universe by flying through this pixelated lava that looks straight out of Minecraft. He saves a few people, takes on the foreign army, and earns a bit of redemption. The best action scene? It's reportedly as epic as Guardians of the Galaxy 3, featuring a hallway fight with Mr. Terrific. Superman uncovers Lex's plan with this foreign nation and alerts the government. But Lex, always one step ahead, reveals he's cloned Superman. What follows is a brutal showdown between Superman and his clone. Both with the same DNA, both able to access the Fortress of Solitude. Superman takes down the clone, Lex ends up behind bars, and then Superman heads back to the Fortress of Solitude where a drunk sorority version of Supergirl reclaims her dog Krypto. This is strange because they were hyping up the dog before the trailer even dropped, and it turns out the dog is actually Supergirl's. She asked Superman to watch him. Superman kicks back, asking to see his family again, but instead of Jor-El, we get a glimpse of his human family. There's nothing wrong with the plot. It's all in the execution. But I gotta say, it's a bit odd that they start the whole trailer with an interview, right? Now we know apparently this was the chemistry test. And for me, they're giving off like cousin vibe. They're giving off brother and sister. Now I see a lot of people glazing this for some reason. I don't know why it's getting so much glaze. Now, like I said, I think this movie will do very well. It's going to do very well with families and children because he is Superman. It's just a very weird way they've introduced him. Now, the second I criticize anything, y'all go, "Yo, you're a Snyder fan. You're a Henry Cavill fan." No, I'm not one of these. I'm not one of these James Gunn Superman fans that keeps bringing up Henry Cavill in post. If you can't compliment the new Superman and this trailer without bringing up the Snyderverse or DCU going, "Yeah, this is how you do it. Yeah, looks better than Henry Cavill in 5 seconds." No, he really doesn't. It's pretty interesting. This plot actually leaked a while back, and when James Gunn debunked a bunch of stuff, we pretty much knew he was lying. It's just a strange way to kick off the big trailer for the major marketing campaign. I've heard some pretty mixed things about this movie behind the scenes, but honestly, I'm really hyped to see it. It drops in 2 parts, and I'll definitely be supporting it and covering as much as I can. Here's the basic plot. It's all about Superman stepping in to stop a war without the president's permission, and that's pretty much the evidence Lex needs to go after him. Lex's whole motivation for hating Superman? He's an alien, and in his eyes, he doesn't deserve to be the hero. Lex is gonna go all in on this, and anyone who thinks Nicholas Hoult isn't a good actor, honestly, you're missing out. You clearly don't know his range. Same goes for Rachel Brosnahan. She's great. The only reason I can't fully credit David Cornswet yet is because I've really only seen him in one movie, Twisters, and to be honest, he wasn't great in that. He was good in a Netflix show though, but I need to see more of him. Still, this movie is gonna bang. The plot's a bit basic, but the way James Gunn handled the trailer? Yeah, that was just weird to me. What do you think of this new Superman? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.